It is finally happening. On January 19th, Jagex will be removing Treasure Hunter from the game alongside the availability of the toxic waste it brought into the game, like dummies, proteins, XP lamps, the whole lot. Don't worry, you can still use everything you have till January 1st, 2027, as they are pretty much legally required to do so. A new future for RuneScape is here, but that's not everything. An avatar refresh, the recluttering of RuneScape, area refreshes, combat changes, skilling changes, UI improvements, and even a meaningful change towards the new RuneScape coming next Monday. You heard that right. In this video, we will go over everything you need to know about the integrity roadmap that they announced today. And not to worry, that doesn't mean that we won't get a content roadmap next year. We will get that on top of this. So leave a like if you are as excited as I am. Subscribe to stay up to date with everything RuneScape 3. And without further ado, my name's Chevalric, and let's talk about it. So, there was a lot discussed in this 12-minute video Jagex just uploaded on the matter. But let's start with something that I think everyone can relate to. RuneScape 3 doesn't really look and feel like RuneScape anymore. The obnoxious cosmetics found throughout the world is something that I think everyone has encountered and like 99% of the players absolutely hate. And I'm not just talking about the wings, but let's be honest, even things like the shark skilling outfit for fishing doesn't really look like a medieval point-and-click video game-esque cosmetic or outfit in my opinion. And they're going to be making this more grounded and I guess more fantasy medievally accurate. And that also goes for armors and pretty much every type of cosmetic that they will be creating for the future. But also backtracking on things that are already in the game that they can't really remove, like skilling outfits, and reworking and redesigning them to fit the game more. How exactly they will be doing this wasn't specified in the video or the blog, as we will get another reveal on January 19th regarding this subject. Honestly, the cock teasing by Jagex has been insane, but I kind of do get it as well. But one thing we will get on that day though is a cosmetic toggle where you can toggle various cosmetics off. I wonder how that will work, because by the sounds of it, you can toggle certain aspects of it on and certain aspects of it off. I really hope that they don't allow you to toggle achievement-based cosmetics like the Mascot Aura or Completion Escapes, especially as the latter doesn't really have any reason to wear it outside of a cosmetic override, as there are no stats to it because they don't want it to be a pivotal unlock. But then again, they can also simply fix that by just allowing you to use the Zug Capes on it, giving them combat stats, giving you a reason to use them. But let's be honest, probably 0.01% of you guys watching actually do have a Completion Escape or anything that relates to it, so it's not relevant for now. Let's move on, as they will also be making visual style changes and overalls throughout the game, meaning that all the areas with graphic styles that are dated will all be updated, which we've kind of already been seeing, but it's something they will be focusing on more, and I think we will be seeing more of throughout the year. As we all know, they have done some of the refreshes like Fremenic and Kandarin that look pretty good, but they're going to be doing it in that style across the game. So that doesn't mean that they're gonna redesign how Lumbridge, Varrock, and interestingly Burthrope, because they are the first ones that they announced, are going to be looking, but more so just upgrading the graphical styles to make it more modern, but also more just fitting in together, like it fits in together. And I think with Lumbridge, Varrock, it will also be all the areas in between, because otherwise it would be kind of weird. You go from like a nice looking Lumbridge to a area in between that's kind of dated to a Varrock that's really nice looking, but we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, Burthrope as well, which got a refresh last year, but I also kind of do get it, as it was designed to be a tutorial area, and I guess they want to bring it back to the old Burthrope, which I am a big supporter of. These area refreshes don't mean, yet again, that Varrock or Lumbridge will suddenly look different, just more modern with the graphic style and keeping their identity, kind of like how the Fremi area was updated. So don't worry, Lumbridge is not suddenly gonna have like 10 more buildings in it. Now, the actual exciting part to many players is that the avatar refresh is now off the shelves, meaning that the player and NPC models will all be updated to look more modern and a lot less cursed. Something that has been shelved for however many years, and it's kind of been like this thing floating around the community, and now will be officially coming next year in 2026, which honestly is very nice to see, even though I don't think this will be the main pull factor for people to return to the game, as many people have been saying like, oh yeah, if you do the refresh then people will return to the game. But let's be honest, there's a lot wrong with this game that needs to be fixed for people to actually return. What Could be one of the reasons, however, are some of the changes they're going to be making to skilling and how that progresses. They are very much aware that over the last few years, many skills become kind of shitty to train. When is the last time you trained agility as a non-iron? Yeah, exactly, because I haven't done so either. And even all the irons will probably tell you that it's very miserable. Not just that, other skills suffered as well due to proteins or dummies being available. This is something they are going to be addressing, so make sure to give them feedback on which ones you dislike, why and how they could improve it. So are they the XP rates, or are there not enough active training methods, or are there not enough AFK methods? And please, for the love of God, from me personally, make it so that if you actively train, it is much more rewarding than AFKing. Not this shit that's in the game right now where the active method is technically better, but it's a miserable thing to do. But you do get like 50k or 100k XP an hour more. But the AFK method still gives like 600k experience an hour. Like, it's just not worth it, right? Like, it's just not worth your time to do it. Like, I would love to see that, but I will make a whole detailed feedback video on that in the future because it is one of my biggest pet peeves. Just like RuneScape, as it is getting the boot too. Hopefully, as it's something they want to address, and they were kind of vague about that as well, as it didn't really mention specifics, but more things like giving you reasons to log in and respecting your time more. Honestly, maybe it's just me, but that sounds like you want to buff them, and I know that's not the direction they want to take it in. I just hope that most of the things like caches, wildy events, and even penguins and whatnot just get removed or repurposed, where you're not required to go there at a set time or do them at all because they're so powerful with the experience that you get from them. Where, for example, with Herblore and Ironman, it is better to just do weekly penguins and everything else that gives you lamps, to put that in Herblore and then just progress your account on the side and then make potions once you're 96. That should never be the case. That is something that is really bad. But even something like caches could be a fine addition if they, for example, randomly appear whilst you're training divination. And you could get a nice little XP buff from them once in a while. Not something you have to interrupt your bossing hour for or whatever you're doing, because you have to be there on the hour. Let's go over some quickfire things they mentioned before we get into the combat changes and what is happening next week. One of the things is UI improvements. Better standard UI presets, so the ones that you can select from the drop-down menu, and making the edit tool less of a pain to work with. They want to keep the customization, and that is fine, but they do need better presets for new players that they can just click on so that they don't have to spend logging in and customize their UI or finding a video or typing someone's name in. Just use the UIs of RuneScape. That is pretty much the goal. They also want to clear up the icons for what everything is, because even I sometimes struggle to be like, so where exactly were the achievements again? I think it's the shield and the sword, but some of the achievements are also in like the compass thing. It's very confusing, and they really need to just clear it up. And just in general, having everything make more sense and make it more clear. And it's something that needs to happen and will happen, not in one go, but in various steps throughout next year. Also, don't you just love that how in this video, like that they are making, they're showing the absolute most dogwater UIs that probably no one ever uses. But hey, I mean, it gets the point across, right? They will also be decluttering Gillenor. Think about the removal of Tuska that happened a few weeks ago, but also things like removing the Lumbridge Crater, the Nexus, and Shattered Worlds from the swamp to make it feel like, you know, Lumbridge again. Don't worry, these will simply be moved elsewhere. I don't know where, and actually that is happening this Monday. Yeah, you heard that right. That is the thing that they're going to be doing. This Monday, Lumbridge will be restored to what it always was and should have been, and new players will no longer be starting in Birth Rope, but are back home in Lumbridge. Because let's be honest, that is how it's supposed to be. And the blog also states that the Lumbridge Guide will help new players more with guidance, which I'm very curious about, and we will have to wait and see till next week, and I'll probably make a short on it. And finally, something I found very interesting that they mentioned in this is that they're discussing combat changes. Sure, it can use all sorts of improvements, especially for the other styles, but I didn't expect it to be grouped up with this integrity roadmap. The TLDR of this is, especially as I don't fully understand what they're talking about, as I'm not that deep into combat, but also they didn't give that much information anyway, is that they're going to be making more styles relevant, especially early on, like Necromancy is, making it easier to pick up, but keeping the complexity late game, which I want to wish them good luck with, because Necromancy doesn't really have that later game complexity as far as I know, but we will have to wait and see. They also talked about re-reviewing how Adrenaline and Threshold abilities works, and it's a shame that they didn't give more detail, as this all sounds kind of vague, but will be really good for the game. And not to worry, they won't just announce these changes and then just drop them in the game. There will be beta worlds where people can test them, and then if they go through the testing and some feedback, then they will be added to the game, which I think is a really good approach, especially not to piss off all the PvM nerds. It just kind of all sounds like, yeah, the other styles are kind of mid till late game. We will improve them. Wait till January 19th. That is really what it sounds like, but hey ho, it is what it is. I'm just happy that they're addressing it in general. Now, I don't want to come across as negative, because I am just really glad that they're tackling it though, because Necromancy is still the go-to style for all new players, and it would be nice if they can pick whichever one speaks to them most, and not just pick Necro, because it's easy to get into, get good gear early, and start bossing with, which are all very good things, but the other styles should also have that. Now, before we round off this video, I just want to go over some final housekeepings. If you purchase Premier membership before November 12th, you will get all the daily keys you would have received throughout that years of membership from Premier in one go, and you can spend those before January 19th. These are not the daily keys, but the extra daily keys you get from it. Overall, I'm happy to see these changes coming to RuneScape. I'm slightly disappointed that a lot of the announcements were announcements for another announcements, but it's nice to see that all these things are being addressed and kind of give us an idea on what is going to be happening next year, and that hopefully the future of RuneScape will look brighter, even if it will take a while for them to realize this. At least in my opinion, I think it will actually take a while before we see meaningful growth to the game. Leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video, or even Saturday for my new series. My name's Chevalric. See you guys in my next video. Goodbye. I said it twice.